Hey everybody.
Hello.
Welcome to our channel, and today, Janae, we're going to be talking about business.
You have a Halloween cup and I have a Christmas cup.
Business.
He's living in the past. I'm looking forward to the future. Or we just picked whatever mugs were clean out of
Way to draw a whole lot of commentary off my mug choice.
I'm teasing. But why did you choose, out of curiosity, why did you choose the Ray Dunn Halloween mug today?
I wanted to go counterculture.
Yeah.
Everybody's doing Christmas. I'm still on Halloween.
There you go. And I want to point out, because I feel that this is an important thing to distinguish, this is the only Ray Dunn object in our entire house. We have no other Ray Dunn anything.
I bought it for Janae, ironically.
Yes.
But it's still a mug.
That's
so,
it.
Yeah.
That's it. No shade to the Ray Dunn love, we're not those people.
Yes.
That is literally the only thing, and I just felt that I needed to announce that to the world, because otherwise they're going to get a wrong impression about the style that we've got going on. Yeah.
Okay. So today we're talking about businesses for 2023.
Yes.
That you might want to start if you're looking to start one, but specifically,
yes,
we are not going to give you a top 10 list like everybody is probably throwing at you right now if you're in this space. Instead, we're going to be pulling the top 11 that we see coming up the most and give you honest feedback on it.
Yeah, so basically, we thought, if we were thinking like maybe some of you, and you were like, I plan to start a business, I want to start a business, or I want to start a second business, I want to start some kind of freelance endeavor, whatever, and you go to Google and you type in something along the lines
of... What's hot
of...
for 2023?
Yeah, businesses to start in 2023, most popular, best business to start in 2023. Anything along those lines. And we looked at...
Right. But...
We looked at what those things were and what was coming up most of all. We compiled them into a list. And we're gonna comment on all those things and tell you if that really is a good idea to go toward, and why it is if it is, and why it's not if it's not. So here's the list. Ta-da! Insert list here.
Hold for thumbnail.
Perfect. So these are all the jobs that we're going to be going over and let you know, should you really venture into this next year?
Yeah.
So let's go.
So for all of these, we're going to give you like a rough structure of why are they trending in the first place? Should you do it? How might you go about starting it? And then things to look out for if you do start it. So let's pull up the handy dandy.
Okay, what do we got first?
So first, we're going to have virtual assistant services.
Very nice. Definitely one that's trending and one that a lot of people are considering going for.
Why is it trending?
Well, I think that we really saw a trend toward this starting in 2020 with the pandemic, of course, where people had to work from home. They were probably an assistant already and maybe lost their job when a lot of people were getting laid off due to the pandemic. But they needed to find other work. They weren't going to be able to go into an office, so they were offering services as a virtual assistant to whomever was actually hiring and needed an assistant at the moment, which is great. And I myself, personally, I have had virtual assistants. I love it. It's so great. It's wonderful for businesses that are still kind of operating on a work from home basis or are more spread out globally. So time zones don't really matter. Your virtual assistant could be anywhere because they're, given tasks, yada, yada. But if you're looking to do this, if you're looking to be a virtual assistant, I think there are some important things that you need to know. So first off, having experience is a must, but you're up against many other people who also have assistant experience. Yeah. And everybody's skills are going to be like, I can do Microsoft Word. I can send an email, so you need to find the things that really differentiate yourself above those simple tasks, because if I'm looking to hire a virtual assistant, it's a given. I'm assuming you know how to save something as a PDF and send an email and work Google Calendar. I don't need to be told that, because that's pretty much baseline qualifications for the job. what I need to hear from you is more about what your work ethic is, what I can expect from you. Are you going to be the type that's going to badger me with lots of questions and then I'm going to be like, I don't have time to get back to you? Or are you a go-getter who is just going to figure it out? And actually, in an interview process, one of the questions I asked, this is a little disclosure here, maybe, I don't know if anybody I've interviewed is watching this, but I asked people I was interviewing for my virtual assistant, if I gave you a task and you didn't know how to do it, what would you do? And 9 times out of 10, they would answer, oh, I would ask you how to do it, which seems like the right answer. But the person that I hired said, I'd Google it. And then if I couldn't find anything on Google, if I wasn't sure, that's when I would come to you and say, okay, I've already taken these steps, but I'm still confused at this point. What do you want me to do? And that's why I hired her. And for many other reasons as well. But that is like the energy you need to have and you need to bring, right? Because people who are looking for a virtual assistant most likely are already too busy to be managing someone in person. I'm just going to assume. So if you are going for this job, put yourself out there and position yourself in your resume, in your cover letter, whatever, with these kinds of qualities, and focus less on the tasks that you have done and can do, because I think that it's pretty straightforward when it comes to assistant work, unless it's something more specialized. Like if you're some kind of specialized industry type of assistant, then that might be important. But overall, I think it's more, we're never going to meet you in person. We're not going to see you in the office. So we need to trust that you are that kind of energy and like go-getter kind of thing, that you're still bringing that at home.
So overall, yes, you should do this. This is a good one.
I think yes, but like also know what you're up against. So that's part of what you're up against. The other part is, if you're going to do this, everybody is looking on Upwork and Fiverr for these jobs, right? So I would try to differentiate the way you're going about looking for these jobs if you want to find one. Because if you're going on Upwork and Fiverr, I mean, that's fine. You'll probably get work. But the thing is that people on Upwork and Fiverr, I mean, you're just...
It's a race to the bottom.
It's a race, exactly. Like you're going for the lowest bidder, right? Like who do I have to pay the least to do the most work? And that's a really bad foot to start off on, because I think that we were kind of talking about this before, about like the workload.
Yeah, so that's something to look out for if this is something that you want to jump into. Is it might seem, I don't want to say deceptively not time consuming, but there's this like picture that we paint sometimes of like working at home is like we're on our sofa, we're chilling, and like of course you are at home, you are chilling on your sofa, but if you take that so far as to say, well then I'm gonna try to get 10 clients as virtual assistant because I'm just here, I'm just chilling, so I'm not going to 10 different offices. If this is your first foray into it, I would definitely take on maybe 2, see how that feels, because you could end up overscheduling yourself and you could be at your desk at home or at your sofa and be chained to it because you can't even step away to go to lunch because there's too many calls to take, there's too many meetings to plan, there's too many things. That would be, in my mind, the biggest thing to look out for is not overscheduling yourself. Get a few clients, see how it feels. If you have the bandwidth, take on another one. If you, going back to what Janae said on the niche, this is more for like a growth thought, but if you have a niche, if you have a differentiator that's not industry specific, like a paralegal or something, if you're just saying, I do virtual assistant differently because of XYZ. Like
someone we know, she's an expert in like e-commerce with Shopify, tons of Shopify experience, and I think that that's a really good differentiator.
Yeah, so if she has, 3 or 4 clients that are just, she's found the niche, people go to her for that, you have the availability to then maybe bring on somebody under you and then continue to grow that niche, and then you turn into kind
virtual
of like
assistant for the virtual assistant.
Yeah, you kind of turn into like a little agency for assistants that specialize in this niche. That's just like a phase 2 or phase 3 thing to think about, but if you really find the way to differentiate yourself, like Janae said, from everybody that's like, well, I can take calls for you, well, I can set meetings for you, that niche is that niche is what you can use to help you continue to grow that.
Yes. And I do think that important to, going back to Nick's point here, it's like, it's not going to be the walk in the park that you may think it is. And maybe it is. Maybe you've got a really good client who pays you well and you don't have much to do. And if so, congratulations, you struck gold. But if it's like, it might be a lot more than you expect when it comes to doing this virtual assistant work, and like you don't want to be chained to your couch. So definitely not only taking on a little less than you think you can handle, because it's going to probably end up being exactly what you can handle, and you don't want to burn out, right? No, absolutely not. But also, if you're going into this, you have to be a person with systems in place. You are highly organized and you're highly self-motivated, because when you're working from home, you are fighting against motivation all the time. It is very easy to want to just be like, I really need to clean the kitchen today, and I think I'm going to do that instead, because it's right there. You're not like leaving your house and forgetting about these things, but you're in it. And, you know, so having that motivation, being that kind of person, if that's you, then I think you're going to do great in 2023 as a virtual assistant.
Next point, social media management services.
Okay. So that's a little bit of what I do with my agency. So I definitely feel like I could speak to this. Social media management services. So this, if you want to offer it, here's probably what's going to be expected of you. Actually, you know what? Make sure you know what's expected of you, because a lot of different businesses might have different expectations in terms of what this entails. But for the most part, I think they're going to be expecting someone at the very minimum to be posting for them and probably writing captions on a regular basis. So that's basically anybody with a Hootsuite account who can just get the content from them, write a little caption with hashtags, put it up, make sure it actually posts. And it might also include replying to comments and helping keep engagement up. I think that's probably the bare minimum of what's expected. And that would be all the social media platforms that they have. But there might be other expectations as well. So again, make sure that's clear, including creating the content yourself, whether that's video, graphic design. I mean, there could be a lot of things bundled up in here. It could also include like reporting on analytics of the growth that you're bringing to the account, what people, you know, are saying in the comments, you know, where you're getting followers from, all that kind of stuff, I think is probably going to be included in that, as well as trend reporting. That can also be something that people want to see. They want to know what's up and coming, what the trends are, and especially as we're really coming into a time where trends are turning around like that, or we're having multiple trends at once, depending on the different niches. So somebody who's able to do that. So if you want to set out to do social media management services, like I said, the bare minimum is like, I will schedule things and post them for you. Great. And that might be all that somebody needs, because they might be a small business and they might say, hey, like, I just don't have time to just remember to post. And I just need somebody to do that for me and to write a caption, because it's like, I'm thinking about 20 million other things. I'm trying to run a shop, or I'm trying to, you know, work on inventory. And it's like, the last thing I want to do is think of something clever to say and write some hashtags. Like, I just don't want to deal. And if that's all they need, perfect. You can be that person if you have that experience, and that's great. But they may have more expectations about, you know, asking you to create the content as well, and that is like immediately a much bigger ask. So it really depends on what you are capable of doing and offering. But then the trend reporting, I think, is going to be even more valuable in 2023. That's something that my clients are increasingly more excited to hear about, because like I said, trends are really changing a lot. So if you're somebody who, you know, keeps an eye on all these different trends happening, then that's perfect, because that's something that you can offer and specifically say that you offer when it comes to social media management services.
Why are we seeing that as a trend, like this job? Why are we seeing more of it?
Because I think that more and more businesses, well, there's a new business out there starting every single day, and they're going to need social media, right? But even still, the ones that aren't new, they might be new to social media, or they might have just started and realized they're biting off more than they can chew and they need support because it's becoming something that is requiring even more of you. And if you want to know more about that, we have another video that we recently posted about what we expect with social media marketing or marketing in general in 2023. So check out that video to kind of go into depth more about why that's going to be a bigger pull for different companies. But I think that it's only natural that businesses are going to want to bring on somebody, and they may not want to bring somebody on full time in their team. They might just be looking for somebody virtual who can just sort of help execute on tasks for them.
Okay.
But much like the virtual assistant, I do think that you need to differentiate yourself.
But you think it's a good potential job or
I
business to start?
I do think so, and I think that no matter what your level of experience is, just be real with yourself about that and be real with your clients about that.
But also similar to, the reason that you had hired your personal assistant or your virtual assistant, it's not only what you know, it's what you can get done with the tools in front of you. Mm-hmm. So if you had a client or you had somebody that potentially could do something like this and they were going to hire you, but maybe they needed you to create 5 pieces of content a month. They needed 5 still images, and you're horrible at it. But besides that, it is the perfect job for you. Well, you could then turn around and go on Fiverr and find somebody, or Upwork, and find somebody to create those assets for you. And then again, even if you're a one-person shop, you're kind of acting like you're a little agency, like
a broker.
So it's not necessarily that you need to be able to be good at lighting and everything, because that is a huge ask to be good at lighting, be good at set dressing this and having all these props. But if you were good at the forecasting, at scheduling, at making great captions, and then you farm that little bit out, then you come back to the client, you've turned around exactly what they needed. Mm-hmm. So I'd say that would be something under the what to watch out for is don't commit to things obviously that that are maybe outside your scope, but also understand that your scope does not have to be the end all for what you can apply for if you know where to fill in those gaps.
So long as the client is paying you enough to take on somebody else's.
Well, yeah, because you're gonna have to pay them, so you're making it
right.
less.
So if it comes that you're at that juncture where you're oh, I could really use somebody else to help on these tasks, but they don't have the budget or the support for that, then maybe you need to push back on your client and be hey, you're asking me a bigger lift, and so we need to renegotiate the finance part of this, or you just look for another client if they're not willing to do that. So I actually, I just thought of a metaphor that I think applies to both of the things we just talked about, and maybe also the other stuff. So, okay, here it is. Here's my little story. So long time ago when I first moved to Los Angeles, I auditioned to be a parade dancer at Disneyland for the Christmas parade. And it was great. I did a couple Disneyland auditions, and it was a lot of fun. And I have dance experience. And so I went, there were tons of girls. They broke us up into groups. And I think this was girls only, come to think of it, if I'm remembering correctly, because I feel like it was. But anyway, tons of people. They broke us up into these little groups, and then we had to go do this routine that we learned really quickly, and we had to do it across the floor. And if you've ever seen the Christmas time parade at Disneyland, the amount of dancing that people do you wouldn't say it's particularly complicated choreography. A lot of it is just kind of stepping to the music with a lot of energy and waving. And some people do a little more complicated stuff, especially I think there's skaters on little skates. So that's rollerblades, that's really hard. But for the most part, a lot of it is step touch and smiling and waving, and maybe add a little spin here and there, and raising of the hands. But the across the floor routine, I don't completely remember it, but I remember that it was far more difficult and complicated than anything that the parade dancers had to do. And so I remember, I believe there was a leap involved, and at the very end was a double pirouette, which I remember I fell out of my double pirouette, and I was like, I didn't make it around the second time. I was very mad, and obviously I didn't get that. But the thing is that nobody's doing that routine in the parade or anything close to it. Nobody's doing double pirouettes in the parade. What they want to know is, can you do that? Because if you can do that, then you can do the step, touch, waving, and smiling with energy around the whole park perfectly. If you can do this floor routine that's more complicated, they don't have to worry about you doing the simpler parade stuff that you're going to look like a professional dancer when you do it, right? So they don't give you they don't make you just step, touch, and wave in your audition. I think that because there is so much competition out there for virtual jobs, and everybody's credentials are basically going to look the same. Yes, I can do Microsoft Word. Yes, I went to college. Yes, I have job experience around 5 to 10 years. Like, it's all gonna look about the same, right? And so what you need to set apart is, like, you need to have that extra pizzazz. You need to have the leap and the double pirouette in what you're offering, so that they know, oh, well, if they can do this, and if they are this kind of snazzy person, I don't need to worry about how easy it's gonna be for them to schedule social media posts, because of course they can do that. Of course they can do that. So if you apply for a social media management job and you simply say, I have experience in posting things and I would love to post things for you, you're auditioning with the step touch for the step touch. You need to come in and talk about how committed you are, how excited you are about the industry. And I know this is going to feel weird, because it's like, oh, that's a lot of effort for a job, and it's like, shooting above the expectation. But in the reality of the situation, of the way things are right now, just giving it to you real, I think that that's honestly what's going to make the difference and get you the job.
If you flip the script and you are somebody hiring, do you want to hire somebody who obviously says they can do the thing that you're doing, or this other person that applied and is okay with the rate that we can offer them, but has way more experience? I might get a superior product at the same price.
I mean, and I'm not just talking about being overqualified for a job that you're applying to, because sometimes being too overqualified, I'm kind of like, well, I feel like this is weird that you're applying for this job. But
not overqualified, just you differentiate from everybody. Imagine like 10 of you are applying with similar qualifications. How am I going to make...
How are you going to be more memorable and let them know that's a walk in the park for you?
Exactly.
So, anyways, there's your little takeaway. You
Okay.
learned something new about me and Disney auditions. Anyway,
Next one.
Yes, next point.
Okay. We have web dev and a design agency.
Web dev and design agency. Okay, you want to take this one?
I think this is trending right now. Again, we're talking about a historic amount of small businesses starting in the last couple of years, especially during COVID, and we're all at home.
Yes.
So naturally, those companies need support systems around them. I think that has explained the last couple points as well. That's why these things are kind of trending, and you're seeing people talking about them being viable things to jump into or businesses to start, is because we need those support systems. There's a gold rush, and somebody needs to be selling the pickaxes. So should you do it? I think you should if you are good at it. This is one of those ones where it's maybe a little bit harder to fake it when it's coming to like web dev or design. If you don't know how to do Illustrator, don't say you know how to do it. I don't know how to do Illustrator. I hire people that are good at Illustrator.
And that's a skill that you can't fake, and people will know.
I don't know how to like jump into code on a website. I pay people that do know how to do that. So if you know how to do that, and on the web dev side, you can showcase an eye for creativity, and on the design side, you have an eye for the implementation. To me, those are the big differentiators when we're looking for somebody, because a lot of times the people that are really into the coding, you tell them to do this, website or something, And there's one or two pieces that come down to kind of creative nuance or kind of understanding the leap that you're trying to make there. And if they have a completely analytical approach, they are going to miss that, and then you're going to have to go back for revisions. But if you can be somebody who's technical but just has a eye for the creative to understand, oh, A plus B does equal C, I see where they were going with that. To me, that's a differentiator in that space. Same thing on the design side. If you're going to design something beautifully, but you have no sense of, or like if you're designing a site and you have no sense of how it's going to be read, the load times, things like that, and it's beautiful but not very usable, it's going to be hard to get repeat business or to really start building a good client base there, because they're going to have to bring in somebody to then fix that work, or they're going to have a lot of revisions to fix the beautiful work to be more functional and usable where they want to be. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm getting a phone call. For web dev and design, I think the process of getting started is similar to these other ones, even more so on like Upwork and Fiverr. I think unfortunately, even if you were to make your own website and say like, hey, I'm a one-person shop, or we're a little company that does websites and we do design and stuff like that, you're going to have to initially just start kind of putting yourself out there. It's a great place to get initial clients on those sites because you have people actively looking on those for people to do them.
That's probably where I would go to find somebody.
And if your differentiator is that when you're posting, you're not just, I'm Tom and I'm a designer, saying like, we're a small shop that does this and we're here on this website, somebody might have a little more confidence to say, oh, I'm hiring a little company, and then you can try to like parlay that into a relationship off the platform and grow that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, here's a question for you. Let's say that I'm someone who I've never done web dev before, but I'm really interested in it and I want to be self-taught. Do you think I should still pursue this in 2023 if I'm starting from zero?
Probably not jumping into a business doing it.
Is it possible to be self-taught on this?
Yeah, it is actually. Now more than ever, we are living in the future where you could, it's not even like a paid course where it's like, oh, there's a college online. You could go, like, there's courses on YouTube. There is like free applications like Playgrounds, Swift Playgrounds on any iPad or Mac device. You can, if you have a passion for this and you're just missing that gap of the physical like knowledge, the nitty gritty of it, jump in. There is not even the barrier of cost for a formal education, because I guarantee you on Upwork or any of these other sites, or anytime we've even hired somebody that is going to be doing a website or going to be doing graphic design, I'm going to look at their portfolio, I'm going to look at some other projects they've done, I'm going to get a vibe for what it is to work with that person if I can get along with them. And then that'll be it. And then I hire them because I see the work they do, I see what kind of person they are, I move on.
Yeah.
At no point do I go, everything's great, but can I see your degree? And then if they're like,
this is definitely more of a portfolio-based kind of job where you're going to be like, I do need to see your past work.
So dive into learning and doing.
Yeah.
And that would be my like
big takeaway.
Big takeaway on that one. This one's interesting. So this one is one of the few physical
non-online jobs that we saw come up in like successful businesses.
At first
to start.
we were like, this seems a little random, but
I do think it's a good one.
Yeah, coffee shops,
starting
cafes.
A coffee shop. Yeah.
So a couple things on the coffee shop that I think are interesting on why we might see this kind of getting aggregated online, unlike things that might be coming up. So Starbucks famously has pivoted away from being that third place And if you don't know what third place is, I'll link a Wikipedia article in the description.
Or we could talk about it in another future video.
We'll talk about it in a future video.
If you want to know.
But like Starbucks had been the champion of being that third place for people for a long time, and then they pivoted away from it. So in that void, the kind of idea of a third place that also had some kind of like snacks and coffee and stuff to kind of keep you around is still a good idea. And with more and more people not working in traditional offices, they're either remote or they're hybrid and they can work from anywhere, the need for third places is very weirdly like spiking up because of that. Because I mean, we do it. Well, like we have an office here at home, but it was like, oh, I want to go work from a coffee shop for a couple hours, and we take our laptops and we're on our way.
Yeah, where do we want to go meet up with a friend, take a meeting with a client, whatever. We've got like a couple coffee shops that are our usual go-tos here in LA.
So I think that is why we're seeing this pop up, is that the need for third places are coming up a lot more with more people working from anywhere, and coffee shops fill that need very great. On the technical side, they are also good because if you have a coffee shop that is just doing like, let's say it's baked goods that maybe you buy from another vendor or something, and then coffee, you don't need, at least in California, you don't need the same permitting that you do if you had a full kitchen. So kitchen is obviously good for like, you know, meals and keeping people maybe even longer.
But if you're operating like Starbucks, where it's like you bring the stuff in and then all you have to do is heat it up, basically.
It's the same reason that like frozen yogurt and poke places took off, because you don't need the hot kitchen permitting sprinkler system for the grease and all that. Like it is super easy to just jump right into it. That leads to kind of how you might go about starting it. This one's going to be a little more capital intensive, so you might need, you know, you're probably, if you're going to be at zero, you're going to need a business plan, and SBA loans are a great way to go about it. Friends and family are also good to find a space, outfit it. You know, are you going to start your own coffee brand like Starbucks at the same time? You're going to go in for a double whammy, or are you going to like buy somebody else's beans? You have a lot of opportunity there.
Yes. So actually, one more thing, I think also why it's trending right now and possibly a good venture for 2023. So a friend of mine is like a coffee genius, and when I met him, it was, I guess last year, and he was working as a barista somewhere, but he used to have his own coffee shop, and it closed. And the reason for that is that he started it right before the pandemic, unfortunately. It was a great coffee shop, and it was located in a business center. So it was like perfect location where you have people working and they need to come down and get a cup of coffee. And it was his shop that he was running and owning, and sourced really high quality beans, had really good tea, like all this kind of stuff. And he knew his stuff, and he was friendly and outgoing, and people really liked to talk to him. And then COVID hit. And nobody came into those businesses anymore, and nobody went into coffee shops anymore, and that's what did it. He had to close. He's still a barista, and he's still doing awesome stuff. He manages a coffee shop now, and so that's great. So he was still able to continue doing what he loves, which is awesome. But I think that a lot of coffee shops didn't stay afloat. If they were smaller, if they weren't Starbucks during the pandemic, especially if they were located in places like business centers. But now that people are going back to work and they do want coffee and they are out and about again, the need for coffee shops to reopen in those little places again, it's there. It's growing. So if this is something you want to do and you're passionate about it, I think the timing is really good, honestly.
It is. I guess tying back to the more capital intensive, that would be the things to look out for, is that this one's going to be more of a lift on the front end. But it has a lot of potential upside. And, another way to look at it is that any hurdle that you have to go over, everybody has to go over. Yeah. So if you find a way through, you've immediately let that hurdle be a filter to have less people competing with you. So, two sides of a coin. Right.
I think another thing you need to watch out for is that you need to have strong branding for your coffee shop. This is a must in today's world, in next year's world. If you look like just whatever little coffee shop and your name is Java House and your theme is coffee shop, like you're gonna blend in. You're just gonna blend in with all the other businesses around you, and you're not gonna be offering anything special. So find something that makes you special and unique. Use it as a point for branding, or contact me and I'd love to help you get some unique branding for your coffee shop and make sure that you stand out, you're memorable, that people see it and they get curious about what it's like and what you have to offer, that it's a fun place to be and hang out in and order from, and that's the kind of branding you're going to want to go for.
Yeah. Next up, selling online courses.
Oh my gosh, this is everywhere. This is what everybody is saying you should do.
So these are trending, and they're coming up in these lists, I think, because a lot of people jumped into them. A lot of people jumped into them, and I'm gonna just jump ahead to the second point. Should you do it? Probably not.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
I'm gonna
like big asterisk. I would say the only reason to do it is if you have genuinely something so crazy, unique,
valuable,
that you are conveying that is not out there already.
If you're not already selling online courses, it's possibly too late for you. Because
or if you're selling something that you can quickly feel like you can spin up and like, oh, I could figure something out like that and put together a course, you and everybody else also had that thought. So again, you have to have something that just for one reason or another is incredibly unique to you.
So why is it trending? Why is everybody saying this? Because the people who are telling you to sell your courses are trying to sell you a course about selling courses.
So
they're selling you a course on selling courses. And so if you buy that, then it's working for them.
So if you want to make a course about how to make a course that's not like the other courses, I guess that's technically available.
No,
but
there's too many people doing that too. It's flooded. It's flooded.
It's a very crowded space. And I do think that you're going to have trouble, one, coming across as like legitimate, because there's a lot of people that have poisoned that well.
Yes.
And two, even getting people to like stick around enough. I feel like it's kind of like traditional advertising that people have just learned to tune it out. If you see somebody scrolling and they're like, and I have blah, 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 and this is part of my course, you're like, okay, I'm out.
Right.
It's going to be really hard to be like, no, but I'm for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And everybody's using the same funnel system where they start you out with something free, and then you come into the free Zoom, and then it ends up turning into a pitch where they're like, I'm going to tell you how to do this. And then they're like, I almost told you how to do it, but at the end, now it's the pitch. And now you sit there for 30 minutes while they convince you to why you have to buy it and why the time is now. And it's just like sitting through like a timeshare presentation at that point. And then you get in. But then also, is it viable? Because once people buy your course, how do you keep them? Like, you have to be able to
the whole model,
put them into a system.
Is like
you have to continually get new.
It's like moving to the next town.
So the only moving to the next town. Interesting. It's like the Music Man.
Next on the list, snake oil.
Should you do? No, but really, I feel like these online courses are almost becoming the next like MLM a little bit.
Yeah.
And people are very distrustful because many people have been burned. They have bought courses in the last year or two trying to pivot into a new market, learn a new skill, and then it's not that good. And I'm not saying that they're all bad, because you know what? I have a friend who has an online course that's actually great and it's successful, and she has customers advocating for her genuinely and coming back for her other classes, courses that she offers. But the thing that's different is that, first of all, she started this like right at the right time. I really do think so. But also, she sells a writing class, and she is a very, very talented published writer. Yeah. She has been articles published in pretty much every major publication at all. Her like resume is very impressive.
It is.
And she is absolutely someone that you want to be learning from. And her classes are not cheap. Like, she does like one-offs that are cheap, like little one-off I don't know what you call it, courses.
Workshops?
Exactly. Workshops, or like little writing challenges and stuff like that you can join, that are very affordable. But for like the full several week course where you get started and you make a career for yourself as a writer based on her approach, that does cost a little more, but it's a great investment because she has so many success stories of her students who take that and become paid writers after that, because she really knows her stuff. So if you are someone with an impressive resume and you know that your class is actually going to make people successful, who will just do nothing but say good things about you and help bring in more people, so that you don't have the heavy lift of spending thousands of marketing dollars to get those new people in, then maybe you can. But I'm saying that if you really want to go into this, you have to think of it as like master class level. And you have to be someone that people will see, oh, they are legit, because they will not believe that you are at first blush. That's going to be your hardest, biggest hurdle, is that when you approach somebody about an online course, they're going to be like, yeah, everybody's got an online course. But you're like, no, I'm a real person that really does this, So if that's you, then do it, but approach with caution, and make sure that you have a system in place that helps get new people, but also takes existing people and continues to convert them in one way or another. If that sounds like too much work for you, or if this sounds like not what you expected and you thought this would just be something easy to do, I think it's going to end up being a lot of work and not a lot of return. And I think that it's best that you abandon that idea and look for another one for 2023.
Yep.
Affiliate marketing. Oh, so actually, back in the day, long time ago, years ago, I had a little bit of a foray as a micro influencer / affiliate.
We'll throw up some pictures right now.
No, we won't. No, we won't. We won't. Don't take those pictures down. Take them down. Actually,
nobody can see you now. It's just pictures over you.
Stop it. I got this hat for free from members only when they sent me a package of stuff, which was really cool. I got several jackets. That was, I think, my favorite influencer / affiliate thing that I did. Did I make any money off of it? No. Nobody used my codes to go buy stuff. And I teamed up with different companies and stuff, and I did good quality content with their products. The only thing that it benefited was, for a little while, I got some free stuff, and I got this hat that I still wear. But I really think that a lot of businesses are going to actually be doing less of this content influencer affiliate marketing. So first of all, if companies are going to be doing it less, it's going to be harder for you to actually get deals with that and make money off of it. But likely the best thing you're going to see out of it is just free stuff. And if somebody happens to use your code to make a purchase, I mean, you're making a fraction of a commission on that sale in order for it to be viable for the business at all. They're not going to offer you, there's profits and margins that they have to look out for.
People are trimming back marketing budgets next year. There's going to be a real emphasis on every dollar out showing a return in, and paying for brand awareness and all these kinds of things that had really loose metrics are getting it scaled back.
So here's where I do think it might make sense to do it, though. If you are already an established influencer, content creator, and I'm talking, you've got a big audience.
How many followers would you say?
I think it depends on the platform.
Okay.
But probably, just to give a rough number, I'm talking hundreds of thousands of followers on any given platform.
Because you think on the micro end, that kind of is, you're going to get stuff more than anything else?
Yeah.
Like as a micro, like 1,000 followers, 5,000 followers.
Oh, no, anything, I mean, forget it. If you're less than 10,000 followers, forget it. On YouTube, maybe if you've got like 20,000, 40,000 subscribers, that's probably where it's going to be beneficial for you to actually make some money off of this. What I think is that it's more likely that you want to actually just, instead of getting paid a commission depending on, I mean, if it's a higher priced item, then maybe a commission makes sense.
But
Like flat fee might be a good thing, and that won't be out of the ordinary for brands to see. So make sure you have something structured if you're new at doing this.
Because if you don't put it out there, they will not ask.
Yeah. So have like a response ready, have like a little one sheet that gives pricing or whatever, however you want to do that and deal with that. But another example that I've seen a lot actually, and I think it probably works because I myself have utilized these things. So there's some influencers on TikTok, for example, who are like moms or business owners or whatever, and whenever they have stuff or they use stuff that they like, they throw it in their Amazon lists, and they are an Amazon affiliate, and then they say like, there's a link in my bio and I've got a list that's called blah blah blah, and it's like my favorite clothes for plus size women for winter, and I'm probably gonna go look at that.
So under like how you might go about starting this, one would be, it's probably going to be a lot easier if you have an existing audience. If you don't, you need to first build an organic audience, which will take a undetermined amount of time. But two, maybe if you're not doing this already, look at becoming an influencer through Amazon.
Because, an affiliate.
Because Amazon, with Amazon, you get paid twice. Because if you can negotiate a flat fee from the brand itself, but then it directs people to Amazon. Amazon actually pays you from every sale.
Yes. And it's very automated, so
for being for directing that traffic to Amazon, so you can kind of double dip.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's a good point. But yeah, also like there's another account that I follow, I just remember, that has like kids toys, and they have different lists for different age groups. So like infant and like toddler and young kids, older kids, and so come Christmas time, they start posting about like, if you don't know what to get your niece or nephew, like here it is, go to our Amazon and you'll see the top trending toys, different price points of different toys and stuff. And those lists are great. They're like gift guides that are shoppable, and they make commission off of everything that goes that way. So if it makes sense with what your niche is, or even if like, you're just a business person and you're like, these are the things I use at my desk or whatever, but you've already got an audience, because again, don't put in all this effort if you don't really have an audience. This isn't going to be viable for you. Build your audience first, and then consider doing this.
And don't buy any courses
to do
on
so.
How to become an affiliate marketer.
Unless it's my course. Just kidding, I don't have a course. We're giving this information away for free.
Next we have home tutoring. This one is another one I'm seeing.
Interesting.
I'm seeing it probably gain popularity with remote, hybrid, people traveling, if they can work from anywhere. A lot of people bought homes in crazy places, but if you have kids, that's what I'm thinking on the tutoring end.
Yeah.
If you have kids, and then maybe they're moving to remote school, and then if they need extra help, they're going to get a remote tutor.
I also think I think that in most, this is just off the top of my head, I haven't done this research, so I'm making a claim here based off of what I just assume. I assume that most American families have two working parents now. I assume. And it's a lot less stay-at-home moms or dads, and both parents have to work. And if both parents have to work, they probably don't have the energy or time to sit down with their kid and help them do their homework. And so hiring someone, a home tutor, who can come and do that with them and help them do the math or the writing assignment or whatever.
Oh, see, I was thinking like virtual tutoring, but I guess you're right. It's not
home tutoring.
Oh, it's like tutoring at home. Okay.
Yeah. So the only experience I have that's kind of like this is that I was a tutor in college. And I used to, because I was a music major. If you didn't know that about me, I think we mentioned that in one of our first videos. I was a music major, and so I helped tutor people in music theory and music history. And I really loved it, and it was one-on-one tutoring sessions. My university had a tutoring center where tutors would be hired, and you'd have to be recommended by the head of your department, I believe, to be a tutor. So you had to have like really good grades in those classes and The professors had to recommend you, and then you could get hired and paid to be tutoring other students, and they'd sign up through it and they'd manage your schedule. It was great. It was actually honestly great. I wasn't trying to just do it by myself because there was a center involved. This is going to be different though, and I'm actually not sure. Our daughter's too young to need a tutor, so I have no idea how people find tutors these days that come to your home.
Yeah.
But if, let's say I wanted to start doing it, I wanted to offer music theory tutoring or something, math, I don't know, whatever. I would probably post on things like Nextdoor. You thought the same thing as me. Nextdoor.
Also, maybe local
Facebook groups.
Yeah. They're not. Those people are not necessarily looking for those things on like Upwork or something.
No, and it's localized.
Very
so you
localized.
Need to, those mom groups and stuff, and make sure before you do that your Facebook profile is nice and squeaky clean. Because if a mom clicks it and sees party pictures, even if it has nothing to do with the tutoring, they're just going to think you're going to be a bad tutor. That's just how it goes. So clean up your profiles. And I would recommend going local like that to make those offers. Maybe there's things on like care.com for tutors, maybe, but I don't really know. And I probably, just as a mom, if I needed to hire a tutor, I don't think I'd start there. I think I would probably ask like a local group.
A local group.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could go to the schools in your area and just go to front office one day and be like, hey, here's like a flyer of my information, and I offer tutoring. Is there any way you can post this on a bulletin board or include it in an email to parents? That would probably be really good, because then you have the endorsement of the school.
And depending on where you live in your district, there's hopefully some kind of system in place to accept people from the community that do that, and like in a way to kind of get officially recognized.
Yeah.
But that'd be the best way, is to go through it. Kind of a little bit towards some of the other things we talked about, where if you have a niche, or you have like a specialty, that's an easy one. It's kind of like the courses, but it's not easier, but you don't have to be, let's say, at the like doctorate level, because you're helping teach people that are just kind of getting their first footing on it. It's really more about breaking into the neighborhood and getting in the consciousness of the people that are going to be needing that service.
And once you're in with like one mom group, they're going to talk to all the other moms about it, and you're going to get so much business drummed up. If you're really in good and you really help, a couple students in a mom group, that's going to be a great business for you. But I also think this would be good if you're somebody who you got your associate's or your bachelor's degree in a degree like history or English, and like maybe you're not using it and you're doing something completely different, but you still have a passion for it, and you spent money to learn all of those things about that subject, and you want to put that to good use. This could be a way that you can be making money off of this, working with kids. Obviously, don't do this if you don't want to work with kids. That's going to be an important part of it. And also, this should hopefully go without saying, but you would probably need to be subjected to a background check, or have a clean background that you can let people know that you're safe to work with kids. So that's a big one.
That's a biggie.
Make sure that's already
taken care
of. But yeah. So like, I think, English majors, history majors, math majors, if that's,
music majors.
You can say music majors.
You left yourself out. You're like, not me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think it made sense for college, but like, people just, if I don't know, I feel like that's why kids have music teachers or like music lessons. It's a different kind of thing. I don't think you need a tutor for that probably, but
okay. Next one.
Anyway,
Video editing.
Video editing. That's a very useful skill.
Along with a lot of businesses starting over COVID, a lot of content, more content being made everywhere. Social media, long form, short form, has gone from a like nice to have for a business to kind of part of your everyday commerce and interactions with your customers. So editing, filtering, making sure that content is looking good it's like up there. It's up there. It's one of those things that you maybe don't think about too much where you're just like, oh, we'll put a video up. And it's like, well, no, how's that video look? Is it going to be polished? Does it have our information? Does it have titles? Does it have all kinds of things? That's going to be an editor.
Yeah. I briefly worked with a real estate agency, and they had an in-house video editor, full-time job, because real estate requires lots of videos, the home tours, everything. He also did the filming of the video, so he would have to go and film the properties and then put that footage together. But there may be instances where you don't actually have to film it. You're just taking the raw footage and putting it together based on notes. And then being able to make it look smooth and seamless, modern and cool. You put in little like title cards or whatever they need.
This is another good one that can be remote. If you have a setup at home and you have maybe a beefy computer is what you're going to need to be able to run the editing and hold all the footage. But theoretically, people can upload footage, you can download it, and you can edit from anywhere in the world. So
things to watch out for. I think that you have to actually be good at this. You have to actually know what you're doing. It's more than an iMovie thing, because
this is another one that if you have a passion for it, it again easy to learn. You can download a video editor. I mean, Final Cut has like some upfront cost. Adobe Premiere has some upfront cost. But
if you have a passion for it because you want to be a filmmaker, you may not want to get into this as your, just freelancing job, because most of what you do is going to be corporate work, and that expectation just needs to be set. So it's fine if you want to be a filmmaker, but you are okay and understand that this might not be passion projects, but it might fund your passion projects when you're making corporate videos or you're doing real estate videos, and it's very straightforward.
Not to say you cannot do, short films or other things that you're going to edit for other people, but generally those are going to be more on the passion side and less on the paid side. And the corporate videos that are boring and you're scrubbing through footage of executives that don't know how to act on camera, those are the ones that are going to have the budget for editing. So those are going to pay the bills while you do the the other projects that you edit.
I think you also you also need to be aware that what that work requires is going to be working with people who know nothing about video editing. And so have the expectation that the notes that you'll be getting about what they want their video to look like, how to cut it, whatever, it's going to come from people who do not know how to speak your language. They don't know what they're talking about. They're going to use the wrong phrases. They're going to say things like, I want it to fade in and out, or I want it to pop open, or they're going to use like stuff that you're like, is that really what you want?
This is another one similar to like social media people, where they might not understand what they're like, if a certain ask falls into a different field or requires a little work, where they're like, well, we're going to do this thing and then we just want this big explosion, and then you're like, well, that's visual effects and I'm an editor. So if you do visual effects, you could be like, oh, well, I can do that, but that's not editing. Or they're like, oh,
can you make a little man pop up and dance? And you're like, I can't animate, or I can, but you're gonna have to pay me extra because that takes more time.
Just be very clear on the scope, because again, part of not understanding the language that you speak as an editor is kind of, again, not understanding what is and is not part of it. So something to make sure you get all the details worked out on that, on what your scope is when you take on a corporate project. Because generally they are not knowing what is and is not editing. And to them, it's just like videos, and you cut it up and you make it look good, and anything under that is video editing. So, okay.
Moving on.
Okay.
Okay, what's up next?
Moving on.
Graphic design.
Ah!
It's a graphic designer! This is Melinda.
This is my sister Melinda.
She is our graphic designer. She is amazing and very, very talented.
Melinda, should people that want to start a business and want that business to be graphic design in 2023 jump into it?
No.
No. Ooh.
You should have a graphic designer. You should hire one, a very talented one, to do jobs that you do not know how to do. Don't try to do everything unless you have a bit of the skill already and you feel confident. Because you could have the greatest idea in the world, if you don't know how to execute it, it's going to look bad.
So if somebody wanted to start a graphic design company, if they're just a single person,
Like a freelancer.
like a freelancer,
Is that something someone should be getting into in 2023?
Do you see demand increasing for
Yeah.
graphic designers in 2023?
Yeah, definitely. As more people become entrepreneurs, you're going to need more graphic design freelance in general.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things that people can do to get started in that if they want to jump into graphic design?
I would say to as a freelancer,
as a business, like, oh, I'm good at graphic design, but
or I think I'm good. I like it. I know how to do Photoshop.
I would say get a website, get your name out there, start producing the type of work you want to be doing. So if you want to be doing work for Adidas or you want to be doing work that looks like really groovy, just start making one. There's millions of websites where you can just type in certain prompts and it will make a fake client and you can start doing the work.
Ooh, cool.
I didn't know there were websites that pick
Yep.
fake clients like
Yep.
that. That's cool.
Very cool. I like
Very
that.
cool. What are some things to look out for or things to make sure you don't exit, like mistakes to watch out for?
Try to not overuse Canva. It is a great tool for beginners, but if you are a professional graphic designer, you can spot it a mile away.
Yeah, that makes
I
sense.
didn't know that. I didn't know you could spot Canva.
It's like 5 templates.
Okay.
What kind of jobs do you think people just starting out in this will be getting first? Like what kind of work
clients can they see? Like first jobs?
First jobs, I'd say like small businesses, a t-shirt brand, a
Stuff
sticker
on like
company.
Upwork.
Yeah, stuff
Yeah.
on Upwork. As you start to network more and get to know more people that need things, you will get better jobs, larger jobs. But at the beginning, just little projects.
Little projects. Okay.
Cool,
Okay,
cool. And so if my extent of graphic design knowledge is simply using Canva, should I try to start this as a job for myself in 2023?
I'd say if you're passionate about it, yes. There are millions of different videos on TikTok, YouTube of how to up your knowledge, Photoshop for beginners, even Canva for advanced, anything to kind of take your skills from just novice to start getting professional.
Very cool, very cool. All right,
Okay,
awesome. That's
cool.
pretty valuable.
That is very valuable.
Thank you, Melinda.
Thank you for being in our video.
Yeah.
Okay. Now get out. Sorry, please get out. Our last one is ebooks. That was another one similar to online courses that we're seeing come up in lists because a lot of people have been making a lot of silly content where they're
I'm hearing these
made
wild success
I made
stories.
an ebook in an hour and these idiots are buying it
Yes,
for millions
it's
of dollars.
Or there's this one story that's going absolutely crazy right now about the man who used AI to write a story and then AI to create the pictures for children and is selling that book. I don't know how. It seems like he's successful. Maybe he's just drummed up a lot of
people are hating on it.
Yeah, well, there's a lot to be said about AI. That's a future video.
So we're talking about just the people that have said ebooks are easy on Amazon and you can write a kid's book in a day because kids' books are short, and then you get somebody on Fiverr to illustrate it, and then you put it together and you're going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right. I made $1 million overnight on an Amazon book. Is that true?
I mean, it probably does happen, but the key part that people miss, even before we get into anything else, is that you and everybody else have that same opportunity, and people are paying Amazon to advertise within the platform to bump up on search results. Because if you made that book and 1 million other people made that book and you're on page 115 of their search results, nobody's going to see it.
Nobody knows it's
So
there.
you're going to have to pay to put it up on that first page. So it's not just I put it up and it's going to make all this money.
Right.
Okay, let's back up. I just want to get that one out of the way.
No, absolutely. Another misconception is that you're buying these illustrations on Fiverr for $5. Fiverr is not a $5 place anymore.
It was maybe when it started.
When it started, that was the concept. That's why it's called Fiverr. But no, if you want quality illustrations for a children's book,
it costs money.
It costs quite a lot. That's a lot of illustrations that you need. I mean, you could maybe get that done for, I don't know, $200 maybe, but I don't know that you're going to like the quality of it.
And then when it comes to the actual content, with a convincing cover art and a good bio, maybe you could I'm gonna use the word trick maybe somebody into buying something that has no real content to it once or twice. But if you want to become somebody that gets repeat business, you're gonna have to start creating like a real voice and like provide a unique point of view or have like a very compelling story, even if it is for kids, because the kids are not buying this, the parents are, and they're
Right.
gonna see right through it if it's just something that feels very hollow.
Or they're not going to see it at all because, like Nick said, it's on page 115 of the search results. Because in order for it to be seen, to be known, to be worthwhile, you have to invest money in that. And if you're selling it and Amazon's taking a chunk because they're producing it, so at the end of the day, you're making $3 a book off of these books.
Yeah.
Are you going to really see a return on that?
I would say if writing children's books or writing books like that has been a passion or something you've been wanting to get into, the ebook publishing and that whole space is really just something to bring the barrier to entry down.
Yes.
It is not an invitation to kind of shortchange the system.
No, I don't think it's as hackable as people are making it seem.
And the thing is, it's like if it's too hackable, then it loses all value, and then people stop going to it.
Yeah,
so
and then it's flooded,
and then it's like you turn into Clubhouse, and you don't want to be Clubhouse.
No.
So that would be like you probably like pay your way and push through to get sales, but you don't really want to do that because it's one of those like performance marketing things where you're just reinvesting the money into advertising because the real thing doesn't have any actual value. It's just getting pushed in people's faces.
I think that the ebooks are very similar to the e-courses, the online courses. It's a similar approach. If you have something valuable to say, to offer, to teach, and you put that in an ebook and you already have a channel of people who are ready to give you their money for that information, do it. Then it is a great idea for you to get into in 2023. But that's a big if. That's a lot of things that have to already be kind of established, or maybe you'll work on establishing first in 2023 to then turn around and get your book published. And in regards to that, using the Amazon system where they actually bind it for you and you can self-publish, that is pretty cool because then you can circumvent the whole publishing process with Random House or Penguin or all those publishers that are really difficult to go through. And you can process. It is. So having this is actually great.
But make sure that you're starting off with a place of actually having a passion for it.
I think so, or something of value to say, to offer. The children's book hack of like making passive income off of it, I just think that it's being billed in a way that's not accurate. I think that like the selling online courses thing, I think the people who are saying this are trying to sell you something about how to make these ebooks work. And I don't think it's quite that simple. So if you were going into this hoping it was going to be that simple and you were going to just hack it together and stuff, you might find that it's not that. And in which case I say,
don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. So that about does it.
That was it.
For our list of the businesses that we seen some potential in, some that we see not so much potential in. If you have any questions, if we did not bring up a company that you're like, ooh, but I'm seeing this and I'm thinking about it, leave us a comment, and I do want to talk about it. Because I think it would be a great conversation starter.
What was your favorite one from that list? If you were starting something out fresh in 2023, which one do you think you'd go off of?
Yeah, please let us know.
But you, what about you?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? I would pick coffee shop.
I was gonna say the same thing. I feel like that's a good one. If you could do that, I think that's a good one.
We might be starting a coffee shop, so look out for a NFT metaverse coffee shop.
No.
Brought to you by Ryan Bresnahan. That joke is for one person.
That is the second time we've name dropped him in our videos, and I don't even think he's watching them.
No. But
Someday he will.
Someday he will, and he will see
like,
all the time.
What?
Nice people talking about me. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Well, that does it for us today.
Yes.
And until next time, it's
business as usual.